never expected what would happen in the weeks to come. Hey FishTube, Steven here. My bucket list fish, or one of them at least, was a puffer. Always smiling, helicoptering around the tank and begging for food and killing. Not that I wanted an extra murdery one. I love community tanks, and for that reason I was drawn to the Tetraodon Schoutedeni, or the Spotted Congo Puffer. Not too big, not too small, didn't need to be in a group or need a lot of regular teeth trimmings. There are a ton of posts and videos online from Spotted Congo Puffer owners, and a lot of them are doing great in a community tank. But for general care information, everything seems to point to one care sheet published on pufferfish enthusiasts worldwide that leans more towards them not being perfect citizens in a community. But there are a lot of combinations of fish and plants and countless other variables that could affect how a community tank gets along. So I was ready with a backup plan. But plan A was a 50-gallon planted tank which sprang to life over a period of 6 months as I added various species of Kuhli Loaches, followed by some Raccoon Tetras, Siamese Algae Eaters, and finally one Spotted Congo Puffer. And I have to admit, I was disappointed. She was fine with her tank mates, barely paid any attention to them. It was me she didn't like. I thought she would eventually warm up to me, but she never really did. If I snuck into the fish room and kept my distance, I could sometimes catch her puttering around doing standard puffer things. But if she knew I was in the room, she would not be out very long, even if I was there to feed her. She would just sort of drift her way back to her favorite spot under some crypt leaves and wait till I was long gone. A lot of times, sneaking around was the only way I could make sure she was doing okay and still healthy and eating and playing nice with her tank mates. Everyone seems to agree that these puffers are individualists, and personality will vary fish to fish. And while a lot of Spotted Congo puffers appear to be water puppies that are always out and about, begging for food on sight, just doing all the puffer things, I had a shy puffer. And yeah, kind of a bummer, but as a fellow introvert, I didn't hold it against her. So fast forward a little over a year, and despite my efforts, her demeanor never changed. But I had gained a little more confidence in myself that I wasn't terrible at taking care of a puffer, and since these puffers do indeed have individual personalities, I made a decision. I ordered 2 more puffers, basically with the hope that one of them would be my friend. Now that one care sheet online says these puffers should be kept either alone or in larger groups of 6 or more, but it also mentions that some have made it work with fewer than 6. All the other anecdotal evidence I found about groups of 3 or 4 seemed promising as well, so I liked my chances, especially in this densely planted tank. Over the last 18 months, the crypts have grown into a jungle with a ton of line of sight breaks, meaning it's very easy for fish to hide in established territories. But of course, knowing I was again about to try housing fish together with some degree of uncertainty, this time I had a backup plan to keep all 3 puffers in separate tanks permanently if I had to. Now it took me years from the time I decided I wanted a Spotted Congo Puffer to actually getting one. Part of that was just being newer to the hobby and nervous about caring for a $200 fish. But as I naturally progressed and learned more, my main concern became getting one from a good source. And just like my first puffer, I ordered these next 2 from Dan's Fish, which is never the cheapest option, but that's because they're doing something surprisingly uncommon in the industry with a heavy focus on fish health and humane transport. And they even recently brought a biology professor on staff to help take some of the guesswork out of identifying pathogens and treating fish. And puffers are notorious for entering the supply chain with parasites. By the time they reach the fish store, treatment can be a lot more time consuming and complex than just a round of levamisole. And yeah, all that extra care adds up to the cost of a high quality fish with the will to live. And nope, I wasn't paid to say any of that, but I think it's worth promoting those who are responsibly disrupting this industry where it's needed the most. But anyway, in adding these new puffers, I expected some initial territorial behavior, but my main concern was the size difference. My first puffer had a full year head start to grow and live a life free of competition. And it's one thing to assert dominance, but there was always a risk that she could just straight up choose violence. Luckily, I work from home, so after I added the new puffers, I spent my day working from the fish room to watch what would unfold, and eventually, I had to intervene. She was not happy about these new tank mates. I've never seen her more active, patrolling the tank, chasing them away on sight, but on the plus side, she was so pissed that she didn't really care whether or not I was in the room anymore. Fortunately, no actual violence, but with that big angry potato puttering around, the little ones were having a heck of a time trying to explore their new surroundings and settle in. So I posted a little video clip on our community Discord, and Johnny from Dan's Fish customer service suggested I temporarily put the big one in timeout, just to let the new puffers explore in peace. At the same time, I removed a few of the crypts where she normally liked to hide, just following one of those common suggestions of changing things up in a tank when you have fish competing for territory. And that timeout for a few hours definitely helped the little ones settle down a bit, but they were just kinda chilling right in the big one's territory. So I let her out, expecting her to make a beeline to her spot and chase them away. But she did not. Instead, the opposite happened. Now it seemed like she was the intruder and they were chasing her away. She just said screw that and went off to the back of the tank, and I watched them all for a little while longer that evening, and it was relatively uneventful. But the next day, things were already looking a lot better. It wasn't a one-sided battle for dominance anymore, and I was noticing what seemed to me like normal pecking order behavior. The little ones chasing each other, taking turns chasing the big one, no violence, no aggression towards the other tank mates, and all three puffers were visibly less stressed. Apparently these lines that appear on their back are indicators of stress, but even minor annoyance can make them appear, so when you don't see those stripes at all, it's a pretty good sign they're happy. But again, I'm paraphrasing a single care sheet from the internet. The big one seemed to return to her normal self too, and by that I mean she wanted nothing to do with me again. By the end of the day, the puffers settled down under that soft warm glow of an artificial LED sunset, a peaceful end to day 2 of new puffers. I never expected what would happen in the weeks to come. The new puffers, after a day or two to settle in, were pretty sociable from the start. One always greets me by the spray bar, just waiting for food, and the other one usually hangs out in the middle, just waiting for food. And as the weeks have gone by, it's almost like the new puffers have taught my first one how to be a puffer. She is out and swimming way more often, like all the time, gliding through the water with a newfound confidence, just waiting for food. And she finally realizes I'm the guy with the food. She went from hiding from me on site for over a year to now taking food directly from me, something I tried to do many times for the past year. And I could probably feed her by hand, but tweezers prevent puffer bites. It's like a completely different fish, a total 180. So I started my puffer keeping adventure hoping to have a water puppy, and now it seems I have 3, and just an immeasurably higher level of joy for this aquarium. Now, as someone who keeps a ton of shoaling and schooling community fish, this change of behavior makes a lot of sense to me. But being new to puffers and every species having a different behavior profile and individualized personalities, it was a pleasant surprise to me, and one of the many things I love about this hobby is observing all the cascading effects of just trying something different, while of course doing it responsibly, because our story isn't over yet. These 2 new puffers are still young. I don't know for sure what sex they are, and honestly I've been calling the big one a she, but what I'm learning from the experts is it's not always straightforward which is which. As time goes on, their behavior might change. I could end up with 2 males, and that might be a problem a few months from now. So the backup plan is still very much in place, and as this video ages, so will my puffers, and if anything changes, I will put an update in the description. So what do you think? If you have spotted Congo puffers of your own, let me know what I might observe over the next year or so and anything to look out for. If you're keeping just one, what's been your experience so far? Let's keep the conversation going in the comments, but meanwhile, hey, did you know there's a community of people just like you here on YouTube? You can hang out with the Fishfam right here during our live streams every Friday night at 8:30 p.m. Central, where we talk fish, play games, and go off the rails. And catch us live every Monday at 4 p.m. Central to talk about plants. And you can find out more about the community, including other live streams, at fishfam.link. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like and subscribe for more videos to come. Thank you so much, and I'll see you later.